these mages, judging by these mulligans, it looks like it's going to be Mech Mage versus Freeze Mage.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it could well be a Tempo Mage on the bottom there for Oliech. Just seeing the mirror entities and the Frostbolt, it's until we actually see a mech, I wouldn't be convinced it's a mech yet. Definitely a Freeze Mage for Forsen, though. That's pretty much set. Yeah, so you can see the Mech Warper. It's going to be Mech Mage versus Freeze Mage. We saw this earlier, and probably the Freeze Mage has an advantage here.
Yeah. Freeze Mage, I think, has a small advantage, but Mech Mage can still have blowout victories. If they get ramped up early, if the Freeze Mage doesn't draw into freeze early on or stall.
Look at Oliech throwing out the emotes already, threatening Forsen.
Oliech looks ruthless.
He's not afraid of the big name here. He's out for blood. He's here to take a scalp. That Tinkertown Technician on turn 3 is pretty great.
I can feel the tension. you can cut the tension with a knife right now. It's thick and pungent.
Forsen definitely looks tense. He doesn't look completely relaxed as always.
Looks like he's chewing his gum along with a song. Like
he's chewing with his mouth open, which I have to say my mother would definitely not appreciate. My mother would not be a Forsen boy right now.
Well, Forsen's mother encourages it, so this must be a different culture.
That's true. It's different culture, different foreign lands, different customs.
So this is actually a pretty decent start for Forsen. I talked about it earlier. What Freeze Mage wants is they want draw into freeze into burn. Like that's sort of the nature of the deck. You want to be able to draw into a lot of answers early. You want to be able to have freeze in the mid game to deal with boards, freeze Doomsayers, and then the late game you want to draw into your burn to be able to finish out the game. He's got draw already, which is good. He's got Emperor Thorsan, which is fantastic, and he already has like more draw in his hand to be able to refill with double Acolyte of Pain. So this is a spot that you definitely want to be in. And taking out the Mech Warper instead of like playing Arcane Intellect is probably the best situation here, just because you don't want him to ramp further than he is, and you want to take away the mech synergy as early as you possibly can.
Yeah, absolutely. So the 4/4 still remaining on the board for Oliech, and Forsen does have double Acolyte of Pain in his hand as well as Arcane Intellect as well, so he definitely has some options, but this 4/4 is a little problematic. He's thinking about whether or not to drop Mad Scientist, I guess. It's really hard, because the mirror entities can so often be a liability in this matchup, because there's a higher probability really of you getting a Doomsayer than there is of getting something useful.
Yeah, you have to put as much power on the board as possible right now. The Battle Cry from the Goblin Blast Mage is really powerful, but you can't afford to wait to put damage on the board. It just doesn't make much sense. This Doomsayer is going to stop it in its tracks, though. And he pretty much can guarantee that Doomsayer is going to stick, because turn 5, I don't think there's any way Mech Mage can deal with that, aside from if he got the reverser switch spare part. That would be the only way he could do it.
Well, that would be. You can see the emotes flying back and forth between these two. It's the first time we've really seen any emoting all day. Forsen not phased by any BM or emotes, and Oliech, I guess, trying to play a little bit of mind games. Not sure that's a smart strategy. There you go. Forsen doing his Annoyatron impression for all of us there. It's pretty good.
Nothing like fresh snooze followed by some emote spam. Sounds like a party to me.
I mean, I guess there's nothing wrong with doing with pinging your own Clockwork Gnome here and seeing if you get the reversing switch. What else are you gonna do?
Just pass the turn. I think you need that mech synergy to proc the Tinkertown Technician.
That's true.
In case you're not guaranteed to draw into one next turn. It's a little bit unfortunate, but you can't really rely on getting a reverser switch in order to deal with Doomsayers. That's not a reliable way to do it. It came out a turn before he was able to fireball and ping, which is really tough, because now he's got to build his board back over again. A lot of times what happens with Mech Mages is that against more control type decks, once their first sort of onslaught is stopped, a lot of times they can't gain a big enough board quick enough to be able to close it out. It's the same way when they play against Handlock. One Shadow Flame or Hellfire early on can just shut them out of the game.
Yeah, so Thorson coming down here in turn 6. 9 mana Pyroblast, it's back.
It was never 9 mana, was it? It was 8 mana.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, 8 mana Pyroblast.
Yeah. It's
So
got to
it's,
live for one more turn in order to be back to its former glory.
That's all we need to. This is the unnerfer Emperor Thorson.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the reversing switch did come off the Tinkertown technician, which is a little bit unfortunate. Could have used that earlier.
Yeah.
Get some Mech Yeti here, which is a card that a lot of people have been cutting from Mech Mage. It's some people see it as too slow or not offering enough in terms of board presence as well. Cutting it in favor of some quicker cards that they can use. But Oliech's still favoring it here. We did see the Pilot Sky Golem earlier, and Muzzy's Mech Mage as well.
I did some pretty extensive testing last season with Mech Mage, and I found out that I had the most success with running one Mechanical Yeti and one Tinkertown Technician as like tech cards. 2 Piloted Shredders, 1 Mechanical Yeti, 2 Spider Tanks, 1 Tinkertown Technician as my 3 and 4 drops. So I like Mechanical Yeti. The spare part is actually really decent. Having as many spare parts as possible allows you to have more control over the board, especially earlier on. And there's some spare parts that are just really, really game changers. If you can get the Cloak Field, the Finicky Cloak Field, combined with Antonidas, it almost guarantees you wins in a lot of situations.
Yeah.
So more chances at spare parts is definitely not a bad thing.
Well, there's a Golden Cloak Field.
Nothing really to use it on though. Dr. Boom though, not the worst thing that you could use in this situation.
Yeah, that's not too bad. But Dr. Boom's going to come down. Is another Frost Nova. So he could freeze up this board again. Does a Flame Strike as well. Lots of options for Forsen to answer the board. We'll see what he decides to do here. Dr. Boom, oftentimes in this sort of position, would feel like an autoplay, but he's hesitating with his golden Dr. Boom. What do you think is the argument against Dr. Boom here? Just being afraid of Flame Strike and Freeze and Doomsayer?
I think that's what he's thinking about here. Because he could ping off the Loot Hoarder and play Mechanical Yeti. Mirror Entity is a no-go. Mirror Entity probably will not be played. Mad Scientist is also a liability. Because you play Doomsayer in a Mirror Entity, it's a guaranteed board clear.
Yeah.
It's in the same vein as sometimes you want to hold back on playing Sylvanas in the late game against a Freeze Mage that hasn't used both Doomsayers. Because they can play Doomsayer, Fireball your Sylvanas, force them to steal your Doomsayer and get their board cleared. So
Blizzard coming off the Arcane Intellect is pretty good. Means he has 2 AoEs in hand still, and puts the Frost Nova out as well. So not even just 1 AoE left in his hand after playing one this turn. So he can freeze and then fire, Flame Strike.
he can draw cards too with his Acolytes of Pain. It's gonna be a pretty powerful turn next turn for Forsen.
Yeah, I mean he can, I guess, run his Acolytes into the bombs, draw cards. Hope one of them hits his Loot Hoarder as well to draw another card.
I wonder if it's hard to hear through his headphones, through his hood. I guess
In my experience from living in really cold student flats, it's not that difficult if you turn it up loud enough. We've all been there when you can't afford the heating, when you're a college student.
I've had a cushy life.
Yeah, I guess living in the west coast is a little bit nicer than the winters in Scotland, I guess.
Yeah, I live in San Diego. It never gets below 60 degrees. Heat? What is heat? Don't need heat or central air. It's
Very
the best
cheap.
of both worlds.
Sounds like a cheap way to live. I was thinking about the Thalanos Flame Strike here because it kills the Mech Yeti, I think. We can actually kill the Doctor Boom really easily as well. Yeah, so Thalanos Flame Strike. It's going to clear this board.
So powerful. Such a powerful turn.
He's going to give him a card.
Yeah, and I mean, I talked about it earlier. Once a mech mage loses their first board, a lot of times it's hard for them to build a board big enough to come back in the game. Once they lose their second board, they're pretty much out of it. Because you look at the hand right now, he's got spells and spare parts.
Ooh.
That's it. That's all he has. And now, see, this is where it is. Draw, then freeze, then burn. That's how you need to do it. He drew, then he froze, now he's going to burn. That's
He spams the emote.
Well played.
I gotta say, Oliech cannot be annoyed at Forsen spamming emotes because he started it.
Yeah.
So, you did ask for it.
Forsen is the best Jaina role player that I have ever seen.
That is true.
He's even wearing the hood. He's trying his hardest to be Jaina right now.
Antonitis with some spare parts here.
Yeah. See, this is the finicky Cloakfield, and this is about the only way he'll have a chance at winning. Having spells is the best way to do it because you can play around Ice Barrier, which is a big thing, and he's actually got a lot of damage in his hand. It's just going to have to come over a couple turns, and that's 14 plus 4, 18. How much damage did he start with? That could be lethal. Not quite.
I wasn't really counting.
It is. Yeah, it is. And oh no, he's one off.
Yeah, he's one off.
Of course. Oh jeez.
He has to be one off lethal.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be Forsen if he wasn't one damage off lethal.
Yeah, but he's got Ice Block up. I think he did have a secret up. I don't remember which one it actually was. I don't think we even saw it because it came out of a mad scientist, but he's going to try his best here. He's going to try and throw the fireballs out, but...
Infinite fireballs!
Yeah, there's nothing he can do. Ping his own face would be the best way to go out. Not give Forsen satisfaction. And there we go. Forsen's going to take game one with the Freeze Mage.
Oh, man. Wow. Oliech giving up the victory there to Forsen the Freeze Mage, getting the win that it was probably favoured to do, and now Forsen will go on to the Warrior or the Shaman. Oliech does of course have Mage, Druid and Warlock remaining. It's kind of difficult. I think if Forsen is bringing the Fel Reaver Shaman, I actually think that's a pretty good matchup against Mech Mage.
Usually in Conquest, you'll see players save their strongest decks for last, or the decks that they perceive to be the strongest for last. And they'll throw out their weak decks first to try and get the wins out of the way with their weak decks. Or if throwing a weak decks out there first and having them get beat by a strong deck is actually sometimes a good thing. Because if your opponent uses one of their stronger decks first and beats you with it, that opens up more opportunities for you to counterpick because it lessens the amount of decks that your opponent has for you to choose to play against. Forsen, it seems like he decided to do the opposite. He threw out what he perceives to be a strong deck first, and now he's got to clean up wins with his weaker decks to close out the series. So Oliech still has a couple strong decks left, whereas Forsen, we still haven't seen the Shaman. I don't know how it's going to work out. I don't know what kind of Shaman it even is. So we'll have to see. Oliech already has locked in the Mage, so he's going to try and give it another go with the Mech Mage.
What are we going to see from Forsen here? I'd like to see the Shaman. I think it is. I do think it's a good matchup against Mech Mage because I think the Fel Reaver comes out early, and the Mech Mage has nothing it can do to deal with it. You could things like the. Okay, so Forsen's going to go to the Warrior. So I would say I don't know if it is a Mech Shaman. So
it's actually really risky to play against a Mech Mage, I would think.
Yeah,
if they get any spare parts early, if they get the free spare part, you lose. You basically lose. Because they can free spare part, plus play one, maybe even two more cards with 6 mana as a Mech Mage. Then the next turn, they're going to burn at least 15 cards of your deck and block the 8 damage from coming in. So if he's playing Fel Reaver Shaman, I actually wouldn't want to match up against Mech Mage just because of the fact that spare parts can just completely screw you over. But he's going to play Warrior.
I think with the Fel Reaver Shaman, you can snowball really well. But obviously, we don't even know if he's playing Fel Reaver Shaman.
Even a Noyotron, having to put 8 damage into a Noyotron, you play an Noyotron, it basically just completely negates Fel Reaver. It's such a risky card. I like it, and it can be surprising, but Whew.
In this matchup, if it is a standard control warrior, which I think is pretty likely, an early snow chugger from Oliech here could be absolutely killer.
Yeah.
That would be not what Forsen wanted to see. And if Oliech can just freeze the face over and over and over again, even for three or four turns, the game's pretty much over at that point. So, but having said that, I see Commanding Shout.
This could be a combo warrior.
Yeah, this definitely could be. This could be something. It could be Grim Patron Warrior. Commanding Shout means that you can pretty much have infinite Grim Patrons, right?
Well, 7.
Well, then you sack them in, and then you can spawn more.
You can't sack them in with Commanding.
Oh, no. God.
Yeah. No infinite Grim Patrons.
Commanding Shout. I don't like Commanding Shout, actually. Having played a bit with Grim Patron Warrior, I'm not a fan of it. I think like you see, I think the ability to sack them in and spawn more is actually kind of crucial a lot of the time.
There's a very crucial emote battle happening right now.
There's the early Snow Chugger.
It is. It is turn 1, and Forsen's gonna rope out an emote. Wonder what's going through Forsen's mind right now. This is next level mind games. I don't have advanced enough thinking to be able to tell the strategy behind these intense mind games that Forsen is producing.
I think, Forsen is just letting him have it at this point.
Well, okay, Oliech is a relatively unknown player. He does have some experience, but not quite as much, at least in larger scale events. And there's a chance that he might be susceptible to tilt. No, we don't know for sure if this is a Grim Patron Warrior. I mean, I'm sure it is, but there have been some combo warrior decks or some aggressive warrior decks that actually have been running without Grim Patron. Grim Patron is just sort of a way to have a more consistent way to combo something. I played quite a bit of Grim Patron Warrior the past couple of days, and sometimes I win without Grim Patron. Sometimes I'll have big combo turn with just Frothing Berserkers. Or sometimes I'll have just be able to do so much damage early on, be able to close them out with like a Grom Hellscream or something like that. So you don't necessarily have to have a Grim Patron be able to combo, but it's more than likely going to be the case in this situation.
Alright, so Forsen clearing the board early and getting a 7-2 Frothing Berserker already, and has Commanding Shout as well for next turn to trade with stuff that's getting pretty scary already.
Commanding Shout not that great of a card against Mage, because usually when you Commanding Shout, you're going to put whatever creature you have on the board to 1 health, and they're just going to ping it off the next turn. So Noratron is probably a must here. He can Noratron Snow Chugger, and then basically guarantee that he gets a freeze off the following turn. I think that's the best line of play here. It also blocks what would be 7 damage, possibly even more if he attacks with the weapon first from this Frothing Berserker. I don't think there's really another choice.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think that is what he has to go for. And Forsen doesn't actually have a huge amount in hand. He has a kind of clunky hand with double weapon. It's not really something you want to see as a warrior, is multiple weapons sitting in your hand.
Yeah, at the same time, having the weapons early and having a clunky hand full of weapons is better than have a clunky handful of combo pieces that you can't use as a warrior. Control warrior may not want too many weapons in their hand early on, but sometimes the only sort of removal or board presence that you can have as a combo warrior player are weapons. So I don't think he's as upset, but he would probably like to maybe only see a Despite. Slam also. Wow.
That's interesting. I haven't seen Forsen play with this deck at all, so he's going to go for the Slam on the Mad Scientist. And he has a cool Taskmaster for the Mirror Entity as well.
Yikes. This is so... Okay, so if he plays the Neurotron, Forsen can actually cool Taskmaster in the Neurotron.
And clear it. Yeah, so he can clear, even get through in an Neutron here. He needs something. He's just gonna play the Azure Drake.
Yeah.
This is a lot of damage.
Forget that. He's actually frozen from the snow from killing the snow chugger.
Okay, yeah. So you probably should have played the Annoytron then.
I don't know. I think getting the draw while you still can, knowing that he wouldn't be able to clear your Azure off with a weapon, was probably the better play in that scenario. He wants to save the Annoytron until he can like almost guarantee that he's going to be able to get it. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw execute on this Azure here, because
I think that's perfect because it procs the mirror entity as well.
Yeah. But in that situation, he would actually lose his Frothing Berserk the next turn, but he would be able to put on quite a bit of damage.
Oh, he's actually going to go for the commanding shout. Does that mean he's going to trade?
I can't imagine that he'd throw 9 damage into 4 health. But
looks like that's what he's going to do here. I'm not sure I agree with this. I think
Oliech giving a little bit of juice of his own there. The threat emote. Because he knows that it's going to get pinged off the next turn. So I guess forcing him to use the 2 mana to ping is more important to him than doing the 9 damage to face. But yeah, using the commanding shot to draw, you might as well try and get value out of it when you can.
Yeah, I guess it's okay. It's going to get pinged. I mean, this Frothing Berserker hasn't necessarily done much damage to face, but it's kept board control and it's kept Oliech on his toes for a little while. But going to see the Annoytron come down now. There is a Grim Patron in hand. Grim Patron, if you prefer.
Grim Patron.
If you like being wrong, Grim Patron.
Grim Patron, if you like to party.
It's not the easiest turn here. Probably can see the Cruel Taskmaster and then clear the Annoytron. Can then develop Death Spite if he wants.
Yeah. Mech Mage can sometimes be a little bit of a liability against Grim Patron Warrior. Just because they have so many creatures that have sub 3 attack. And so later in the game when you're getting to those turns where the warrior can play those combo cards like Warsong Commander, he's almost guaranteed to get quite a bit of value out of that Grim Patron because he can just charge them over and over again to these 2 other creatures plus use the Whirlwinds.
What you're saying is everyone might get in here.
Everyone might get in here, yeah. Except there can only be 14 people in here, so
it's there is, yeah.
Unless he sacrifices his brothers. Everybody get in here, and some of you die so that other people can get in here. That's basically what Grim Patron is saying. Grim Patron, the father of modern day tequila.
All right, well that Dr. Boomstar is there as an option.
Yeah, this is actually looking pretty rough for Forsen now. He's starting to get low health. He's used a lot of his weapons to clear early on. He hasn't been able to get quite a bit of damage. I mean, Oliech is still sitting at 30 health, and he does have the Grim Patron, but even if he draws like Warsong Commander right now, he's not even guaranteed to get much. And he's actually looking at... He has Execute for Dr. Boom, but he's still looking at quite a bit of damage on board. He can't use his weapon to clear anything this turn because he's still frozen. He's in a lot of trouble.
That's so rough. Yeah, not being able to clear anything is really bad. He's just going to throw out Thorson here. He's going to get a 4-mana Grim Patron, but it's not the best use of Emperor Thorson.
Oh no, not at all.
And this is the problem with Emperor Thorson is if you can't, it is a really powerful card, but if you end up in a situation where you only have a couple of cards in your hand and they're not ones you necessarily value having lower mana cost on, Thorson can either throw it out like this and lose as much value, or it ends up staying dead in your hand as you wait for a turd to play it, which never comes.
Yeah, there's a possibility for lethal here. If one of the bots hits face for... Oh no, I don't think it can anymore. If he threw in both bots and both bots hit face for at least 2 damage.
If he throws in this bot and it hits face for 4, okay. If he'd got the attack spare part and a bomb and hit face for 4, it would have been exact lethal, right?
Yeah, there was a couple opportunities there, but I don't think any of them are possible anymore. Either way, he's still in a really great position to close out the game. Forsen is nearly out of cards.
It's actually still possible.
The card draw.
This is for 4. Oh.
The card draw mechanic for Warriors Battle Rage, or I guess Acolyte of Pain as well, are a little bit inconsistent. It's not like immediate draw. Battle Rage requires you to have damaged creatures on the board, or else you're only going to draw 1 card. And Acolyte of Pain requires you to have some sort of Whirlwind or damaging effect. And just reaping it off the top without a way to activate it right now I don't think there's any way that he could come out on top.
Yeah, unfortunately not. He's going to be frozen with the Frostbolt as well, so he isn't able to use that Death Spite. The freeze on the Warrior is so effective.
Piloted Shredder. This is
an interesting choice.
It's an interesting Grim Patron deck, but it's pretty interesting. I like to see what the other 15 or so cards are in the deck. I like to see what else he decides to put in. It's a little bit different from the standard Grim Patron Warrior, but pretty interesting. So Oliech is going to tie it up 1-1, manages to find the win with the Mech Mage. Forsen is still going to have to find a win with that Grim Patron Warrior sometime if he's going to want to take away the series.
Absolutely. So it's 1-1 now in the series, going into game number 3. The Warrior and the Shaman left for Forsen, and the Druid and the Warlock for Oliech. I guess this is possibly a Zoo. Again, that feels like it's probably pretty good against the Grim Patron. Just because it can get an early win and overwhelm before the Warrior is able to draw the combo pieces.
I think that it's Grim Patron Warrior is actually pretty good against Zoo. I think Zoo only has a few weaknesses right now, and one of them is Grim Patron. It is very draw dependent, like you said, but they don't really need combo pieces to win, because they can keep the board clear with just with weapons. Like weapons alone, as long as they have an early Fire War Axe or Fiery Wind Axe, they can usually be able to do a lot of work in clearing the board early on, and usually a lot of time they have a lot of targets for Grim Patrons later in the game. And even if they just manage to, in the mid-game, get a Grim Patron on turn 5 with a Death Bite and manage to get a couple out of that, sometimes that's all they need to get rid of the board of Zoo and close out the game. I've had a lot of success against Zoo with Grim Patron Warrior, and sometimes it seems like I have a terrible early hand, and I still manage to pull it out just because of some insane things that I can do in the mid and late game. So as long as you don't get like killed on turn 4 with some crazy Knife Juggler or like a perfect start from Zoo, I think it's pretty good. But this game we won't be seeing the Warrior again. Forsen will actually be playing Shaman. Woo!
Let's see what this Shaman is. I guess just quick briefly on the Warrior before we go into this game as well. I think it's kind of interesting because the way that that Warrior beats the Zoo is kind of the same way that any Warrior beats Zoo, is that having that early solutions to those Zoo problems, being able to keep the board clear, and then overwhelming in the mid to late game when you have the combo pieces, whereas normally you would have the bigger minions in the late game.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more consistent though, because you have other minions to sort of soak up damage instead of like Control Warrior where you can get caught with like 6 drop plus the whole time.
Yeah. Well, let's get into this game here. Game number 3. It's going to be the Shaman versus the Druid. Oliech running Druid. And let's see what Shaman Forsen's going to bring.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see. There's really not many variations of Shaman right now. There's mid-range Shaman, and then there's Mech Shaman. That's just about it. And
it looks like what we're getting. Well, there's Mech Shaman, and then there's Mech Shaman with Fel Reaver. I think those are kind of 2 different variants. Though I guess you could argue they're just kind of different flavors of the same archetype.
Yeah. I think the Fel Reaver is more of a ladder deck, though.
I don't know. I think it's more of a conquest deck, honestly. I think it's.
Is it?
I think it's a deck which is designed to get 1 win in conquest. I don't think it's very consistent on ladder.
It's so inconsistent in a class that's already really inconsistent.
Yeah, well, that's why I wouldn't pick it in ladder, but I
wouldn't pick it anywhere.
That's true.
I would pick it in a tournament where you have to play Shaman and you have to play Fel Reaver in all of your Shaman decks. That's when I would play it. But this is pretty decent hand. He's got to find a way to curb out. I mean, yeah, Innervate Shade is cool and all, but then he doesn't have a play to make the following turn. I think what he can do is just pass his turn, maybe next turn coin out the Shade, and the following turn Innervate out the Piloted Shredder. But either way, his curve is a little bit awkward, because any play that he makes in the next 2 turns, he's most likely not going to have a play on one of his turns between 3 and 5. So it may seem cool that he has Innervate early on, but either way, he's going to run into one awkward turn. It just depends on which turn he wants that power dip to fall on. And so innervating out the Shade is going to be his choice, which means next turn, unless he draws into something like a Wild Growth, he's not going to have anything to play.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. So it's pretty hard to know what to play there. It's obviously you saw him rope on the turn 1, which you don't often see players roping on turn 1, but he was really agonizing over whether or not to play the Shade.
And then Forsen played his card before we could even switch to his point of view.
Yeah. We might actually see the Shade revealed here just to take out this Annoytron, but he might just take the Divine Shield off. I think more emotes coming up from Forsen. You started this, Oliech. You can't be getting tilted now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna clear this out here. It doesn't go with Forsen.
This plays right into Power Mace though, and then next turn he'll be able to clear whatever comes out, plus play his Pilot Shredder in order and get the buff from Power Mace. So this is actually a really good start.
I feel kind of bad for Oliech, but like I say, he did ask for this.
Yeah. And see, this is one of those awkward turns because if he coins out Pilot Shredder this turn, the next turn he's gonna have 4 mana and not really much to do besides Wrath and Hero Power, which might just be enough. But I'm not sure how he wants to play this one out. I think he wants to. What's going through his head is he wants to play BGH, but he's scared that if he plays BGH, there's going to be a target later on that he's going to need to BGH. Oh man, it's such an awkward way to curve out, and Hero Power is going to be his choice. Gives him more options next turn. He can play Potted Shredder or coin out either one of his 5 drops, depending on what happens.
Yeah, exactly. Wants to keep that coin. Doomhammer potentially for turn 5. Can buff this Power Mace, buff the Pilot Shredder with the Power Mace as well. Mm-hmm. Something comes down here like a Sludge Belcher. Just thinking Crackle and Earth Shock are options there as well in hand. Crackle you kind of want to keep for bursting. Earth Shock could be a good answer to Sludge Belcher.
It's a tough decision because drawing that Ancient of Lore gives him a really good coin option for turn 6. But playing Pilot Shredder right now, which would be my first thought, it plays right into Power Mace. Whatever you get out of that Pilot Shredder is not going to stand up to a 6/5 Pilot Shredder. And then you're forced to sort of play damage control the following turn. So he might be leaning towards trying to stop the bleeding right now by playing one of his taunts, either the Druid of the Claw or the Sludge Belcher. I would lean towards the Sludge Belcher because it seems a little bit more awkward. Yeah, and it looks like he's going to do that. It's going to make the Ancient of Lore come out a turn later, but he can't really risk going too hard. And this is a weird turn because you would think, oh yeah, just Pilot Shredder and then Earthshock. But then he's not really making use of the Power Mace.
Yeah.
Say, maybe Pilot Shredder into the Sludge Belcher, and then Earthshock it and save your Power Mace. Maybe for like your Annoytron and just lay Annoytron and totem up.
He's looking at Crackle here.
Crackle Earthshock could be a move as well. Or maybe he'll just roll high on the Crackle and then he can just kill the Power Mace. Let's see. Oh!
Wow.
Oh, never lucky.
That's the perfect Crackle. Oliech is so upset about that, and you can't blame him. A 6/5 Pilot Shredder protected by an Annoytron. Doomhammer next turn.
He's taking notes from D2 as well. After a bad play, he takes a sip.
Yeah, he's a very well hydrated player.
His sips per minute will never be as high as D2. One of his greatest feats as a player. One of his greatest accomplishments.
It'll be his legacy.
Sips per minute. His SPM.
The Whirling Zap-O-Matic as well. Could be such a devastating card. When he's got an Annoytron up.
Yeah. You're not going to really find a more solid turn to play Doomhammer as well. It's safe. He's hiding behind this Annoytron here. He could put 11 damage on, which is just He's just gonna start to pile on the damage. He's on like a rock biter draw to pretty much close out the game.
Yeah, and he can get through taunts as well with the Earth Shock. Crazy. Doesn't even need to trade away for this Lothab, can just push the damage in. And this is a really tough turn for Oliech. I mean, he can ping off the Divine Shield and then clear the Annoyatron, put up a taunt, but he can't do both those things. He would have to do the Shredder instead of the Druid of the Claw if he wanted to clear the Annoyatron.
I don't think he can clear the Annoyatron this turn. I think he has to put up the Druid of the Claw. Oh, he's hovering over the hero power. Oh, he's gonna go for it.
Yeah. Okay, he's gonna use the Wrath.
He's gonna clear off the Powder Cheddar. Yeah, this is the way to go for it. This is probably the way to take the most immediate damage off the board, but it's still a little bit rough. He's gonna have taunt for next turn. He's also gonna have hero power next turn or a way to heal. But this is just giving the Shaman so much initiative here. And it's so tough because it's allowing them to build a board in preparation for what you're about to put out. At the same time, this is punished less by cards like Earthshock because you'd be in more danger with a six attack creature on the board than you would any other way. Let's see, he's got 4, 5, 6, 12, 13. He can't heal out of lethal range.
Yeah, he can't even. That's just what I was calculating as well.
So
he can taunt, and that's going to be it. Oh, he can. He's going to charge.
No. Yeah. You have to charge in that situation.
Yeah. So he has a lot of outs here for Forsen for lethal. That's not one of them.
Nope.
So he's.
But Dr. Boom.
I guess he was a Dr. Boom. Yeah, he doesn't get lethal. I guess he'll just play Dr. Boom instead. Well, that's going to be it for Oliech. So Forsen going up 2-1. Gets a win with the Shaman, so he's going to have to go back to this Warrior now. And now it's going to be 2 chances for Forsen to get a win with this Grim Patron combo Warrior against the Druid of Oliech or the Warlock.
Alright. Wow. Warlock, it has a chance. I think it's a really close matchup against Zoo. Druid, I don't think it's as good because there's not really many ways for you to combo. But a lot of times you can just against some other classes you could use their creatures to combo some of your own creatures. But against Druid that's not really going to be possible.
Yeah. Because
against Druid they're usually playing a large creature every turn. And they threaten to kill you a lot sooner than other classes if you aren't able to clear the board early. Whereas against Zoo, sometimes you can bounce your Grim Patrons off of their small creatures in order to give yourself a bigger board in order to close the game out quicker. So it's a little bit weird because you sort of want your opponent to have lots of small creatures because they're easier for you to clear, and also it helps you combo your own. So I'd imagine... actually, I was going to say Oliech is probably going to go with the Druid, but he actually chooses the Warlock. We've seen all Zoo today, some traditional Zoo with Imp Gang Boss thrown in. We've seen some Demon Zoo hybrids with Mal'Ganis and Bane of Dooms. So I'm curious to see what Oliech's going to bring. We haven't seen any traditional Handlock yet.
No, well, I mean, that's all the deck list for the tournament, so we're not going to see anything that isn't a variation on Zoo and Warlock, and that's such a departure from the position we were in just a couple of weeks ago. Unless
Oliech's running traditional Handlock. We haven't seen him.
We haven't actually seen his Warlock yet. I thought we had. So this is the one chance for your Handlock fans. We'll see. We're going to see, obviously, Jab and Tice with their Mal'Ganis, Dr. Boom versions of Zoo. Next round.
I was playing some Handlock last night when I should have been sleeping because I had to wake up at 4 a.m. this morning to start this cast, but I actually lost to a Zoo Warlock who played Sacrificial Pact. I got to that point in the game where you're able to clear the board, and then you play Draxus next turn to sort of lock the Zoo player out of the game. And I was like, okay, I win. Great. The game's over. And then he played Sacrificial Pact. And I was like, what? Like that card used to be a staple in Handlock. Handlock used to be so popular on ladder, and Jiraxis was a must-have card in almost every single Handlock deck, that Warlocks would play Sacrificial Pact. And
I think you might get your wish here.
that was one of the first chapters in Reynad's autobiography when he very first started streaming, when he was playing Warlock. How he became the Salt King was because one day he got sacrificial pacted by another handlock when he was playing handlock. And from that day forward...
Well, it looks like you're going to get your wish here, TJ. It's going to be at least some kind of later game Warlock. We see a Zombie Chow, Sludge Belchers. We saw double Sun Fury. So we'll see what kind of deck this is, but yeah, we know what we're seeing from the Warrior. We did see another card, which was the Dread Corsair, which is a little bit less common, I think, in these combo Warrior decks.
I'm trying to think how Grim Patron Warrior wins in this situation, and it's really tough. They have to set up one-turn kills before the handlock can get out a wall, which is really hard. This is a really creature-heavy deck. It's a Grim Patron Warrior, but it's not. It doesn't really look like it's too much of a combo-y deck. It seems like it's more of like a mid-range, very board-focused Grim Patron Warrior deck. There's combos that you can make, but we haven't even seen the Warsong Commanders in mulligans or in his hand.
Yeah, that's right.
I can't imagine he wouldn't be running them, though.
Yeah, as you say, I think those pretty much are staples of this combo Warrior deck, but we will see. Do see a Mountain Giant in hand for Oliech, so this is pretty much handlock. We see the Giants, obviously, the Taunt Givers, all the signs of handlock. It's the first time we've seen it, and yeah, pretty slow anti-aggro deck with the Zombie Chow.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he can afford to use the Defender of Argus early here to be able to deny some draws. Of course, you do want the wall in the late game, but plays on curve, able to clear off the Acolyte of Pain while denying a draw, so not so bad.
Yep, double Dark Bomb as well. So this is kind of a classic GVG handlock. It's pretty exciting. I haven't seen handlock in so long in tournaments.
Good old traditional handlock. Not only that, it's nearly all golden. We don't get to see if it's all golden yet because he wasn't on the coin, but that's
doesn't have golden Mountain Giant.
Oh yeah, Mountain Giant's not golden. Interesting.
We talked about this yesterday. If you not got all golden, don't play any golden.
Yeah.
Has the golden hero though.
It's a strategical move because it's mostly of a single card. If you don't have both goldens, don't play any goldens of any single card because again, if you're trying to min-max over the course of a series, you can give your opponent information by playing a golden Mountain Giant and then later on a non-golden Mountain Giant, and later on in the series it'll tell them that you have two. Now most likely they can assume that information, but if you're really trying to min-max...
Oh no! I think he was gonna coin Thoris in that turn. Is what he was looking at. And that Mana Wraith. Oh, I can't wait to see what Twitch chat thinks of that.
That is the face of a very sad, sad man.
And if Reynad is the Salt King, then right now Forsen is the Salt Prince.
Yeah, or the Salt Queen.
Well, I wasn't going to cast any aspersions, but that is possible.
Yeah, that's really rough, because that would have been a really high value Emperor Thorson. He had a lot of cards in his hand. A lot of the cards that he did have in his hand were combo pieces. There's the Warsong Commander. So we had Warsong Commander, Cruel Taskmaster, Frothing Berserker. It would have made his combos come a turn sooner, which would have been so important in this handlock matchup, who relies on like getting big walls in order to stop aggro, who are doing damage to themselves, trying to stop everything. So I think
you want to leave this Mana Wraith alive here.
I don't know, because it also affects you, and you want to be able to play on your curve as well.
I really don't agree with that, because he paid he had 6 mana.
You're also giving
played a 5-mana creature.
You're also giving him more battle rage value by leaving a damaged creature on the board.
I don't know. I like keeping the Mana Wraith alive as long as you possibly can afford to, just to mess up your opponent. if you can play well with the Mana Wraith on the board, and you obviously playing a little bit less efficiently, but like if he's just going to play the Lotheb that turn, I think you just play the Lotheb and leave it alive and hope that, he has obviously Forsen has lots of cards in hand that he'd be looking to play off the Thaurissan. If you could get a little bit, you basically negate the Thaurissan value on the creatures.
Yeah.
So.
Dr. Boom.
Yeah, that's. I don't think this deck runs Big Game Hunter, but it does run Execute, which could be a pretty big top deck. Though there's two things he wants to execute here, and he doesn't actually have both. This is difficult. So you don't want to give away too many of your combo pieces.
He has to try and calculate to see if he has lethal here.
This is true. There's so much damage.
He only has one Whirlwind effect, and the bombs make it so that there's a chance that his Frothing Berserker could get killed. But he does have a lot of damage. Warsong Commander, Frothing Berserker is 4, Unsable Ghoul is 5, Cruel Taskmaster is 6, and that's all he could play. I guess the coin, so it would only have 2 more mana. So it's his Frothing Berserker would have, let's see, 7. No, it would only have 14 attack. So he's pretty far off from it, but you always have to, when you're playing a combo war like this and there's no taunt on the board and you have that many combo pieces in your hand, you have to make sure you calculate every turn. He was pretty far off, but
yeah,
with the bombs, if he had good bombs there, he could actually have gotten that Frothing Berserker, I think, up to, oh man, 18 attack? No, not quite. 14 attack, I think, was the highest.
Well, he just plays the Shredder and the Dread Corsair here. And there's quite a few responses for Oliech. He does have double Dark Bomb. He has Silence. Not sure he obviously wants to use those, but they are available to him. He's going to just go with the bombs here, see where the bombs go. Oh, 1 damage on the Shredder. That's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, this might make him rethink his plan. Because if he throws the second Dark Bomb in and it hits the face, then he's going to be throwing a lot of damage into... Okay.
All right.
He clears it off. Mad Scientist. It's a pretty average body. 2/2 is it's about the average that you'll get from Pod Shredder, but Mad Scientist, you don't want to get much value from that. Dark Bomb here is probably a smart choice because he doesn't want to waste that 7 damage. But what's he going to do with the rest of his 6 mana? Sylvanas.
Sylvanas or Belcher.
Yeah. Belcher just to be safe. Because he took a long time thinking about his last turn, so you know he has a lot of combo pieces in his hand that are reduced in cost from Emperor Thaurissan. So you're always scared, just a little bit.
Just a little scared. Well, once again, he's looking at what he has, but he needs to get through this Sludge Belcher. I'm not sure. That's such a problematic card for a deck like this because you don't have Silence, you don't have big creatures, don't have a lot of direct damage.
Usually Sludge Belchers are actually pretty good. Sometimes you like to see Sludge Belchers, but only if you have Despite. Like if you have Despite, Sludge Belcher's like, oh yeah, because then you can kill, especially Grim Patron. You throw down Grim Patron, kill with the Despite, and then if you have Charge, you throw your other Grim Patron into that 1/2, and then get another one. So,
Alright, well he does top deck a Fiery War Axe off the Slam, and that's pretty great, because that's going to be able to deal with the rest of this Sludge Belcher body. He might coin the Unstable Ghoul here.
Huh. Yeah, he's going to have to if he wants to kill a Dr. Boom, or guard his Frothing Berserker. But
yeah, well, I think that's what he's going for.
That's his whole hand right there. I mean, he has Battle Rage next turn to refill, as long as a damaged creatures survive. But I don't know if anything's going to survive here. He can Dark Bomb he can throw his Dr. Boom in, then Dark Bomb the Frothing Berserker. The only thing that'd be left is the Warsong Commander. He wouldn't be able to kill it, but And that would give him the opportunity to maybe play his own Thaurissan
It's probably as good a turn as you're going to get when he's emptied his hand, and you know you can be pretty confident of how little pressure is maybe going to come in. I think like you say, I think you dart bomb the frothing, you kill the unstable go with the 7/7, and then you play your own Emperor Thorson. Though that's not an option anymore because he life tapped.
You would do it the other way around. You would throw the Doctor Boom into the unstable ghoul and then dark bomb the frothing berserker. Because it keeps your Doctor Boom alive.
Yeah.
Man, this is risky though. I mean, there is no combo pieces left, but he's not putting up a wall in that situation. I mean, he can, which he might be scared and feel like he has to. Okay, silence works just as well. Because I was gonna say you can't really leave that Warsong Commander up uncontested like that without a taunt.
Yeah,
just because even if it was just Grim Patron and like Inner Rage in his hand, there's just so much that he could do with that Warsong Commander.
Yeah, I like the silence here.
Yeah, and so if you're gonna silence, then you need to send for Protector as well. There's no reason not to. All right, so Battle Rage into something pretty substantial is going to be really the only way out here for Forsen. He's at 12 health. He's taking a lot of damage.
Ooh.
It's too late.
The silence on that Warsong Commander, pretty crucial actually.
Yeah, because oh man, he could have summoned a Grim Patron, Cruel Taskmastered it,
cleared the 7/5,
cleared the 7/5, throw everything in. Yeah,
yeah, that would have been really huge. So actually, the silence on the Warsong Commander really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good. He might actually have to tank 7 damage.
7 health will be it at the end, but he'll have to armor up.
It's a really low health total. Actually, Jiraxis is lethal, right?
No. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so Jiraxis is lethal. Assuming Oliech sees it, he's gonna have lethal there.
There's no way you can't see that.
I don't know. I've seen people miss some lethals before.
Yeah, I think yeah.
Okay, so that's
He realizes.
yeah. Forsen realizes that would be an issue, so he's clearing it out of the board.
Twilight Drake doesn't really matter at this point.
Do you just Jiraxis anyway?
With one card in hand and a Fiery War Axe available, what is there anything possible that he could do? I might be inclined to just build up a wall here, but Jiraxis would deny a draw, but it would make him lose 2 health, and he wouldn't have any taunts up. Like he wouldn't have a wall up. Molten Giant Sun Fury Protector. Yeah, no, it would deny a draw. I like that play better. Molten Giant Sun Fury Protector. Because either way, you're still denying a draw. This way, you have a wall up, and you're not losing the 2 health.
Okay, well, let's see what he goes with here. He does have the Twilight Drake as well. Wow, okay, he's going for the Drake and the Forsen.
So bold. That's so bold.
Is he just going to go face?
I guess it doesn't really matter at the end, because there's not really any way that he can do 17 damage with 2 cards. I mean, I guess if one of them's Battle Rage and he can fall into something extra, he'll need like Grim Patron plus a Whirlwind effect plus a charge, which is possible. There is a possibility if he does. He has 1 draw from the Acolyte of Pain. He could draw from that into Battle Rage. Commanding Shout's not going to help him too much. Well, it might. He needs second Warsong Commander.
All right. Well, that's the Commanding Shout.
Second Warsong Commander could actually allow him to clear the board.
You can draw 2 cards here.
There it is! Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Warsong Commander, Grim Patron, Commanding Shout. He clears the board.
Oh my god.
This is the dream combo.
Wait, what?
Because Commanding Shout will make it so Grim Patron doesn't die, so technically it's getting damaged. So he's just going to summon Grim Patron after Grim Patron, and he has enough room on the board to summon all the Grim Patrons and be able to completely clear the board.
Oh my god. And then Battle Rage next turn!
That's really crazy.
He's going to draw what, 7 cards next turn with Battle
Yeah.
Rage?
He needs he needs a Hellfire. If he draws Hellfire Shadow Flame,
Yeah.
he's still okay. But he needs those cards. And Forsen's thinking if it's right to attack, but there's no reason not to attack because
Yeah, I think so.
Molten Giant plus Shadow Flame just screws you over regardless.
I mean, you can Molten Giant Twilight Drake taunt up. Or Drake.
He can actually Molten Giant, Sylvanas, taunt up, and play Twilight Drake. Well, he played Twilight Drake first, of course. He has to weigh that against tapping. So I think tapping here is the right play because you can draw into Hellfire.
It depends if he's running Hellfire. We haven't seen any. We haven't seen any spells.
He has to be running Hellfire. There's no way he's. I don't think there's any way he's not running Hellfire.
I've
never seen a traditional.
I'm just really aware that we haven't seen any of the spells from Handlock.
Yes.
We haven't seen a single Siphon Soul, a single Shadow Flame, a single Hellfire. So what of those is he running?
Most Handlocks nowadays don't run Siphon Soul. I imagine since he's running Zombie Child, he's running 2 Hellfires, 1 Shadow Flame. That seems to be pretty standard. But he risks not tapping. Probably a smart idea. He's going to be able to create a really big wall here. And since he puts the taunt on the Sylvanas, I don't know. Battle Rage, though. Oh my gosh.
Battle Rage, 7 cards. Oh, those ones aren't good.
He's got to find lethal somewhere in here. He's got
Grim Patron is good.
Execute. There we go. So you can draw 1 more card with the Acolyte of Pain as well. There's lethal in here somewhere. Yeah, he's got 2nd Grim Patron plus Whirlwind and Warsong Commander on the board. The only thing that he has to do is
not have the Warsong Commander stolen.
not have the Warsong Commander stolen, or clear his. Okay, no, the best way to do it is to clear his board first, get as many Grim Patrons as possible, and so it gives them all charge first, since it's a battle cry. When they spawn, it gives them charge. So that way, even if the Warsong Commander is stolen, he'll still have enough Grim Patrons to do it. So this is actually really good sequencing here.
Yeah, attack with the Acolyte first is pretty important as well.
Yeah.
He's the Dread. He's got the Dread Corsair as well. That could be crucial. So the Dread Corsair.
It's definitely lethal, no matter how you swing it, because he's going to get 2 Grim Patrons here. He's going to have enough damage, no matter what gets stolen.
That's one of the Grim Patrons going over, I think. Yep.
Yeah.
So that is going to be it. Wow, what a win from Forsen.
Crazy.
Oh my god. That draw. That's insane.
That's nuts. That is
the Warsong Commander
nuts.
draw was absolutely